Bungie, what happened? Everything was going so well Everything was going so well. You released the Shadowkeep Vidoc, you released Season of Opulence at the same time. There was great news in Shadowkeep. We have major Eververse changes coming. We have crazy armor changes coming. PvP is going to get changed. It all looked so good. And then you release this statement today. When Season of Opulence began, we watched as players quickly discovered a bug in how the Menagerie's final chest granted rewards. Players began to race out of the area and then back to the chest as fast as they could to get as many rewards as possible before sent back to orbit. It felt reminiscent of when players were farming treasure keys from chests on their sparrows leading up to House of Wolves. Consider this an error in your favor. We haven't rushed to fix it, but when we patch on July 9th, this loophole will officially close, allowing only one opening of the chest per completion. Until then, we invite you to take advantage of this all you like. Grow fat with strength. Bungie, this is a terrible decision, and today I'm going to tell you, Guardians, why this is an awful decision on Bungie's behalf. Alrighty, Guardians, let's get into why this is a terrible decision. So, clearly, Bungie didn't want us farming these chests at the end of our Menagerie runs. And Menagerie runs, I would say, take about 15 to 20 minutes per run. You usually can get probably 3 done in a little over an hour, I would say, with matchmaking queues and stuff. But this is a terrible decision because previously, if you didn't know, in the Menagerie, if you open the final chest, slot more runes, run into another room where the room name changes, and then run back to the chest, you can open the chest and get more, you can get another reward out of it. So, in a typical run, instead of getting one weapon, or two if you have the rune slot open, if you have the slot open on your chalice that allows you to get a second drop, instead you could get 7 drops, 6 drops, 8 drops if you got really lucky. You could get a lot of drops in the Menagerie because of A, that extra slot in your chalice, and B, because you were running back and forth and opening the chest 5 or 6 times. The reason Bungie's ending this chest farm is to limit the amount of loot us as players are getting. They want to limit the drops we're getting per for the activity. They want to limit us to 1 to 2 drops per the activity. And overall, I think this is a poor decision because what you're trying to extend the life of Menagerie by making people play it more, when in reality people are going to stop playing it. Instead of farming for that perfect god roll weapon and playing the Menagerie over and over and over again, hoping to get the perfect Owstring or the perfect Beloved with Quick Draw Snapshot or Eye of the Storm Rangefinder, Eye of the Storm Rampage, people are going to settle for the loot that they're getting, where they're getting an Owstringer, but maybe it comes with Snapshot Rampage without a Range Master, or Snapshot Rampage with no Accurized rounds, and they're going to settle for that. Because going forward, they're going to have to run the Menagerie a billion more times to get a slight power upgrade in their Owstringer. The reason people are doing that now is because they're getting so many Owstringers per run. They're getting 6 Owstringers per run, which gives them a better likelihood of just increasing the power of their Owstringer just a tiny bit. Or they're giving their chance of getting the perfect Beloved Sniper just a tiny bit more. And they're okay with that. Players are playing the activity because that's okay. They'll stop playing the activity. They'll settle on their loot. They won't farm enhanced armor. Can you imagine farming enhanced armor when you're only getting 1 armor drop per run? That's insane. No one's going to do that. No one's going to want to do that. When you can go to the Dreaming City and in the same amount of time get a bunch of drops from the Ascendant Challenge, from the Blind Well, from Shattered Throne and from the mission. I mean, there's so much more loot in the Dreaming City that's farmable at a faster rate. In that hour, you can get more drops done on the Dreaming City than you can in the Menagerie. And in the Dreaming City, you're gonna have the same chance of getting enhanced armor. You're gonna have the same chance of getting enhanced armor. So I think what's gonna end up happening is people are just gonna stop playing the activity rather than extending the life of the activity. I think the life of the activity is extended by the fact that players have to go out and get more runes, come back and farm for a god roll, and then realize, okay, I don't have my god roll, I gotta go back out, get runes, and come back. The runes already limit the amount of the Menagerie we can play, and so I think, honestly, we're currently in an okay position with the Menagerie. I understand where Bungie's coming from. 5 or 6 drops per activity has never been done before. This is crazy. This is too much loot for a player. But, I mean, technically, a raid, you get, 5 or 6 drops. You can do, if you have a good team, you can bang through Last Wish in an hour. That's 1 drop at Kali, 1 drop at Shuro, 1 at Morgoth, 1 at Vault, 1 at Riven. That's 5 drops in 1 hour. That's the same amount of drops we're getting. I mean, I guess that's more drops than you're getting, for example, in the Menagerie, where you're only getting 3, maybe 5 if you're really lucky from your Chalice. Because that would require you to get 2 drops from your Chalice. So overall, I think this is a dumb decision. But if I'm going to come out and say Bungie's making a poor decision, I just want to give my solution for what we're going to do. Because obviously, the players like it this way, Bungie doesn't like it this way. We need to come to a middle ground where both the players and Bungie think that it's a good idea and think that it's an acceptable amount of loot and drops, where the player base will keep playing, but Bungie doesn't feel like we're getting too powerful too fast and therefore going to kill the season and the activity itself. So, in my opinion, the easiest solution right now is to drop the timer down. I've seen other solutions. I've seen the solutions where if you do activities really fast, then you get more drops. If you do flawless boss kill with no one dying, you get more drops. I think True Vanguard's idea was really good, where you load up the Menagerie, and when you load it up the first time, you get 1 drop. But if you stay in the playlist and you keep loading up the Menagerie, the next run you get 2 drops, the next run you get 3 drops, the next run you get 4 drops, the next run you get 5 drops, and it caps out at 5 drops. In my opinion, that's also a good idea, but the simplest solution, because I don't know how hard that would be to tech into a game, the simplest solution, especially when you leave Menagerie, technically you leave Menagerie. It's not an activity you stay in, because he was comparing it to like Strikes or Crucible, and it's not the same there, where you're stuck in the playlist. Menagerie, you're not stuck in. It's not a playlist that keeps rotating you out and rotating you back in. You have to relaunch it. So I don't know how hard that would be for Bungie to put into their game. But what I do think you can easily do is lower the timer so that players only get 3 runs back and forth to the chest instead of, 5 or 6 runs. So overall, I think that would lower our loot, but we would get roughly 3 or 4 drops per run rather than 6, 7, 8 drops per run. So overall, I think that's the biggest solution, easiest solution, most straightforward solution, where players are happy, Bungie is happy, we're getting a good amount of loot, and the activity is not going to die. Because currently what Bungie is doing is they're trying to make the activity last longer and live longer throughout the entire season, when in reality what's going to happen is you're going to kill the season or kill the activity, and players are only going to go in there to get their 3 mods and a couple of drops maybe, and then they'll back out and leave. Like every week they'll go in, they'll get their 3 mods, they'll get their 3 drops that went with their mods, and then they're out, like bye, to try and get Hive Armaments and the Leviathan perks. So overall, I think this is a really dumb decision on Bungie's part, and moving forward, I really hope they really hear community feedback and they think, alright, maybe what we're doing is too much. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys liked the idea of lowering the timer. It seems like the easiest, most straightforward solution. Otherwise, subscribe. I'll be back in another video sometime soon. Bye.